Okay, so you've just been hit by the spark of inspiration. Maybe you witnessed something or read a headline or had a passing thought, and you really did think to yourself, there's something here. I think this could be a book. But the thing about sparks is that they are, by definition, very small. So, how do you turn that tiny little spark of inspiration into an idea or a premise that's big enough to carry an entire book? I'm Holly Schindler, an award-winning author as well as freelance editor, writing coach, and writing instructor. And today I'm going to take you through a 4-step process that will get you from spark of inspiration to book idea using my own Christmas at Ruby's as an example. And guys, Christmas at Ruby's is not just one book either. It's 8. 8 books and counting. Okay, just to give you some context, here is the aha moment behind my own Christmas at Ruby's series. So I was watching the news, and strangely enough, there was a story on about a non-smoking ordinance that was coming to my hometown. So, basically no one was going to be able to smoke in a public place anymore. And we had a woman on who was against the ordinance. She had a very kind of blue-collar bar, the kind of place where guys came in and at the end of the day had a cigarette and a beer. And she said it was going to kill her business, and basically she was good at doing one thing in life, and it was running this bar. At the end of the story, there was an image of her. It was her face in the front window of her bar, and her face, of course, through the glass, looked a little hazy. That's it, you guys. It was that. I just had this inkling that something was there. There was something about her kind of washed out face in the window and this statement of hers, I'm good at doing one thing, and it's running this bar. Okay, so how did I get from a news story about a non-smoking ordinance and a blue-collar bar to a Christmas series that has run now for 8 years? Okay, the first thing you're going to do is tug on your aha moment by asking yourself, what if? And the goal here is to get to the most extreme what if that you possibly can. But you don't have to get there all at once. You can get there by asking yourself a string of what ifs. Okay, so in my example, I've got a woman who's good at running a bar. Okay, what if she's so good at running the bar, no one in town wants her to quit? What if she's so good at running this bar, no one in town wants this place to ever close? What if she's so good at running this bar, this place is not really a blue-collar place. It's more like a place where everybody goes to celebrate the big events of their life. What if she's so good at running this bar, it's not even really like a bar, it's more like an old-fashioned supper club? What if she's so good at running this bar, even kids are welcome? What if she's so good she never retires? What if she's so good she's still in this place even after her death? Now we've got something. This is the point at which this stops being a spark of inspiration and it starts being a story. Okay, the next thing you need is to figure out who your cast of characters are going to be. You can't just have one person. One person does not a story make, right? Even in Castaway, Tom Hanks had Wilson. There's got to be somebody else here. Who is going to interact with this person? Do the other people in town know she's in there as a ghost? Are there other ghosts in there with her? What kind of ghosts? Who would be in a bar? How about the regulars? What if every night at happy hour, Ruby comes out and begins mixing drinks, and the regular who was attached to that drink appears? Now we've got vibe and a specific world. Okay, step 3, you got to figure out what your problem is. Look, a cool idea is still not a story. A story needs a problem. So far, I've got a bunch of ghosts hanging out in a bar forever. What's the problem here? How do you find a problem? Ask yourself, what is going wrong? Okay, so if Ruby has been deceased for quite some time, and this place has basically been closed, and it's just her and these ghosts in there, maybe this building is now falling on hard times. Maybe this place is actually on the verge of falling apart. Now we're getting somewhere. Now we have a contained setting, characters who are basically stuck, and something they all care about that's at risk. Now we're beginning to get an engine behind this story of ours. But you don't just want to stop at, yeah, there's a problem. You want to take this as far as you can too. You want this problem to hurt. Why does it matter if this bar falls apart? Is it the only place these regulars can exist? Is it the only connection they have left to who they were in life? Is this bar the only thing that is tying these people together, that's keeping their connection to each other alive? Now, this bar is no longer just setting, it's survival, identity, and loss. That's going to make readers lean in. And finally, you need an agent of change. Now, in reality, your agent of change could be anything. It could be a force of nature. It could be a disaster. It could be a ticking clock. It could be an inciting event. With Rubies, though, I really felt like I needed to get the living involved here. I felt like it needed to be a living person who would be the agent of change. In my case, I came up with a new character named Angela. But here's the key. You got to make it personal for her too. You got to give her a reason to care about this place. Why does she stay? Why is she invested? Okay, now this is also the point at which I began to imagine some backstory and some actual events taking place in this story of mine. So I began to imagine that Angela was familiar with this old bar, this Ruby's Place, that her aunt had taken her there when she was young and that they had spent time there together celebrating special events. And there has to be a reason this living person stops at this bar, right, that has been closed forever. And I began to brainstorm possibilities. Well, what if the ghosts make sure that Angela gets pushed inside? And what if they show her a glimpse of what happens every night during happy hour? What if she even sees her aunt? But what would really tug at Angela's heartstrings here? What would keep her from dismissing this? What would make her believe that the scene that she witnessed was real? What if this happened during a time of year when we're all more willing to believe that magic is possible? What if this happens at Christmas? Now, this is the point at which everything in this story is really coming into focus. We've got here themes of belonging, memory, and second chances, a time of year when everyone is a little more willing to believe that magic is possible, and we have a built-in emotional pull. Angela is not just seeing this bar, she's feeling it. And if she feels it, the readers will too. All right, now here for a quick recap. Once you get that spark of inspiration, you're going to tug at it with a string of what ifs. You want to get to the very most extreme what if possible. You're going to add a cast of characters. You're going to introduce a problem, and you're going to make that problem hurt. Then you're going to find an agent of change. And if it's a human being, the more personally invested that character is, the better off your story is going to be. Catch you in the next video. In the meantime, go write something.